Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay, you can stop me if my voice has some sort of hearing issues. Please let me know. I can change the mics. I always have two or three mics. All right then. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Anahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. This is week 5, and we are in topic number 4. So previously we discussed thoroughly. We discussed the Islamic perspective of sustainable development, or do you want to call it Islamic sustainable development? Or further, we also went to the concept of maqasid of Sharia, how maqasid is actually related to the concept of sustainable development. Even though the sustainable development is actually something that we are talking about it within this 10 or 20 years, but the concept of maqasid is already there from the time that Sharia was in existence. So if all of us, you and me, follow the Sharia properly, if we have followed, we could have saved we could have saved the earth, the universe, and there is no need to talk about the sustainable development. Right? Today we are talking about it because we cause harm. We harm the universe. We cause problems. We created issues. And if we don't talk about sustainable development, then there will be development. There is no doubt. People always want to go for development. The countries always want to go for development. And the speed, the process that they do with this development, it seems like within few decades, the entire resources will go away. That's the reason why we need to slow down this development. Look at the development, the way that right now you have the handphones in your hand. The mobile phones, the industry of the telecommunications right now, it's not that difficult to understand. Even when you were a kid in the school, look at your handphones. I don't know whether you were allowed to use it or not, but if in case you have seen it, of course. Like it looks very small, very, it sometimes even comes with keypads and all. Now the way that it's become bigger and then very smooth, at the same time smart, at the same time it's not thick, it's very thin, right? So the production values, the number of production is more. The reason why the mobile phones are in market, available in affordable prices, even though there are high-end phones, which today cost 2,000 plus, 3,000 to 4,000 or 5,000 even. But of course, there are affordable phones are available which you can buy within the 1,000 ringgit or maybe less than 500 ringgit, which comes with so many functions and services, facilities and all. So this is a simple example I wanted to give it to you because I know most of you, I think all of you know about the phones because you always check, you always compare what is it the processor using this, and then what is the hard disk, what is the memory speed, and then memory card, whether it is 1 to 8 GB memory, or is it the RAM speed is 8 GB, whether it is the Snapdragon they're using, what kind of processor, octa-core, dual core, these are the things. So you look at the way it's developing. This is what I'm just trying to give it to you. An example that you need to understand. Look how far and how speed and how quickly things are changing, things are going, and then countries are coming in, like for example, take the country like China. Just for example, take country like China. Like 3-5 years ago, if someone comes and tell you I have a China phone, then you look into it. What, you have China? You have China model? Oh, which means that it could be a cloning, or it could be something that always expose most of the radiations, and then the sound is different. So if someone come and say I have a China phone, it looks, oh, I don't want the China phone, I want the original phone. But today China phones are the best in the market. Do you agree with me? Whether it is it Faris? Yes, Faris.
Yes, sir. China is one of the best phones.
You remember those days that when someone come and say I have China phone, people they don't buy it, right? You remember
Yeah,
those days, or you were too young?
yeah, exactly.
Oh, you remember,
Yes.
which means you are not too young. You are good to remember those days, or maybe I'm not too old. Maybe put that way. Maybe I'm not too old. Okay, so today you look at the companies that they are doing it. Like for example, like whether the company like Huawei or Xiaomi or they are the one they are making. Even iPhones are made in China. Can you believe? iPhones comes from California, but it's made in China. So look at the way that the country is actually. So this is what we call development. So if this is the case for the easy example, because you can understand about telephones and mobile phones, if this is the thing for the telephone industry, what about the car industry? What about the other electronics industry? What about the textile industry? Look at the textile. I don't know whether you still remember. Of course, I don't have to tell. I don't have to tell this all the time. Of course, all of you remember when you were very small. It's not that easy to buy many clothes, right? So maybe like every Raya. I remember. I can tell you, my childhood is like I get only new dress during Raya, only twice a year. I only get it. But now that's not the case. Now I have my children. They get it every time. That's because the supply of the textile, the supply of you can see that the shop everywhere, affordable prices. I'm talking about affordable prices. Whether it is a purse, whether it is whether it's a shoes, for example. I don't remember. I mean I remember I had only one shoe when I was small. But that's not the case now. So today my son, he wants one shoe for sports, one shoe for casual, one shoe for school. See, this is what things are changing, because it comes in an affordable price. And then it looks like it's very good affordable price, so everybody can have it. Right now everyone can fly, of course, particularly not now because of the COVID-19 situation, but usually, of course, the idea came into when it comes to transportation. Look at the way the development, everyone can fly. Last time that was not the case, only few people were flying, but now everyone can fly because you see we have Air Asia. So I am just bringing to you the development is there, but are they sustainable? This is the big question mark. Are they sustainable? Because now once they started doing it, uh, uh, they cannot stop. Now the United Nation, who is United Nation? United Nation is not a private body or private leader to dictate everyone. It is a United Nation is the body of the all country. All the members of the country comes together. They become an association, which we call it United Nation. And now every country has their own production, manufacturing, and of course they have their own people working in those factories, and they cannot go and ask them to stop. But what they can do is actually do whatever you are doing, manufacture whatever you are manufacturing, develop whatever you are developing, just change a little bit. Just change it. Change it means reduce it or convert into a sustainable way. But if this is the case for the manufacturers to play, this is the role for the manufacturers to play. For example, they can go into sustainable way. They can reduce the production. All right, they can reduce the usage or wastage of the resources. If that is the role for the manufacturer to play, what about the role you and me to play? What about the role that the consumers has to play? See, there is a producer's role and then there is a consumer's role. If the consumer still say, I need this, I want this, I want that, I want everything, then definitely the producer will never stop making. If the consumer understand the concept, if consumer understand the extent that, okay, if I keep on wasting this, if I keep on using this, if I keep on buying this in the market, then one day it will cost me, which I cannot, tahan. I cannot handle this. Or I have to tell my children, I'm so sorry, I used. So now you need to understand the relationship between the producer and then the consumer. Because the producer has to produce as long as there is a demand. Let's say if you and me are not happy, or you and me are not, there is a thing called contentment. In Arabic, it is al-qana'ah. Qana'ah means contentment, which means that you limit yourself and you say, this is good enough for me. So I bought a dress, I'm using it, let me use it few more months, or let me use it few more years. All right, I bought a phone. I used to buy and I used to change the phone every year. Okay, let me use it for one more year. Let me use it for one. The same thing to shoe. The same thing to everything. I just need to use it longer. I just need not to buy everything. Reduce the buying. So what happened when consumer reduce buying? When consumer go for less consumption, automatically, there is a factor. The producer will start reducing the production. Then only the sources will be kept safe. Will be safe. So this is the relationship we need to understand. That's how we actually can promote this. We are not actually against of development. You need to understand, we are not against of development. If there is no development, of course nothing can go. But we were saying, okay, the development, let it go, but make sure those developments comes into, passes those developments, make sure those developments passes certain limitation, certain policies, certain SOPs, so that it can convert into sustainable, so that we can actually stay longer in this universe, which is actually good for everybody, including for Muslim. So I want my great grandchildren to be in this universe and also do some good amal, good deeds, good act, and be a good Muslim, so that he can also get his reward in hereafter. Every one of us would like to have it, because how come I become selfish? I say, okay, I'm living, let me do all the reward, let me do all the good work, and then after I die, let this world also go for dying. Let this world, let us make this world a worst place, so that the upcoming children, the upcoming generation will suffer. How can I be so selfish like that? As a Muslim, how can I do that? So this is where, actually, when I think like that, I am actually thinking about the well-being of the human being. I'm thinking positivity. I'm bringing positivity to the human being. This is where the word Sejahtera comes. So today we are going to talk about Sejahtera. This is not something new. This is not something that a community or a culture or a language or a certain region, they come up with this concept. No, this concept is actually a local concept, but it is locally available in every community. They have their different names. So this is the Sejahtera. It is something that we, as a Malaysians, in Malaysia, we actually already having this. That's the reason why you need to understand this. That is the reason why we don't like to harm anyone. That's because the Sejahtera, the concept, is already rooted in our culture. It is rooted in our vein of the blood veins. That's the reason why We don't actually get jealous of others. We let everybody live their life. We don't harm anybody. This is the perfect example, like our own country. This is a Sejahtera, the local concept of sustainable development. We just need to relate. Like I told you last time, how you were able to relate Maqasid Sharia to the sustainable development. Today you are going to relate Sejahtera to sustainable development. All right. Okay, let us see this one by one. We are going to talk about Sejahtera definition and concept, and then Sejahtera as the local implementation of sustainable development and practices of Sejahtera in daily life. Let's go into definition first, yeah? Okay, now I'm going to ask you this question: how relevant is the concept of Sejahtera in your life? So whatever the understanding that you have, please go ahead, give your answers.
Doctor?
Yes, please. Oh, you cannot answer?
No, yeah, because I don't know what means Sejahtera.
Oh, is it that there is no place for you to write down? What about others?
No.
Oh, you don't know what to write?
Understand what?
It's okay, Imran, it's okay. You don't have to write.
Yeah, Sejahtera.
If you don't know, you don't have to write. Don't worry. It's okay. I know. It will be. It's like a new concept for foreigners, but it's okay. It's not very new. It's not a new concept. It's the same thing what we call maslaha in Arabic. Maslaha.
Okay.
Same like maslaha. Maslaha is the translation of Sejahtera. Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have one. It has to be always be relevant because it benefits the human race as a whole. Very good. As a Singaporean, it is nice to know that each concept exists and are being implemented. Very good. It is good to make a good society and unity. It is invite the community to be aware in their environmental condition. Good. Very relevant as we live in a society that needs to always be kind with each other. Good. The concept of Sejahtera gives impact on how to take care of our own life and also others. Okay. Yeah. Good. Good. Sejahtera embodies the spirit of humanity, and as a Malaysian, I stand by this idea. It is a desire for balance in every aspect of, I don't see that, aspect of, okay, of living in this material world and the hereafter. Good, very good. Okay, we are comfortable with it. Very good. Very good. Nice. Okay, good. I think you have some idea about what exactly Sejahtera is all about. Okay, let me give you some definition. Yeah? So I need a volunteer to read some of the text. Okay, who can read slowly at the same time, louder? Anyone volunteer to read the slide? Yes, please go ahead. Yes, Khadija, go ahead. Thank you.
Sejahtera. Definisi sejahtera, aman, sentosa dan makmur, selamat atau terlepas dari segala macam gangguan.
Okay, keadaan.
Keadaan yang baik, kondisi manusia di mana orang-orangnya dalam keadaan makmur, dalam keadaan sihat dan damai.
Okay, so this is all. This is talking about the well-being and also, you know, the healthy, at the same time social, environmental, and then economic. This is all, you know, the sustainability, whatever that we discussed earlier, it covers everything. Sejahtera. Later, let me give you also the origin of Sejahtera. Okay, go ahead. Sejahtera Society.
Sejahtera Society, sejahtera, aman dan makmur, senang dan tenteram, terpelihara daripada bencana, kesusahan, gangguan dan lain-lain. Selamat. Kamus Dewan edisi keempat. Okay, so there is a definition. Actually, this definition, the word sejahtera, it's like one of the Malay, of course, the classical Malay word. That's the reason why we have this sejahtera as a definition. So now you can see that this is the dictionary, lexicon definition, right? Aman dan makmur, senang dan tenteram. What does it mean, tenteram? Tenteram means peace.
Sorry?
Peace.
Safe.
Peaceful.
Okay, and then terpelihara?
Terpelihara means safe.
Protection.
Yes, protected.
Exactly. So the next one is masyarakat sejahtera, is actually social or society, right? Sejahtera society, masyarakat yang memiliki ciri-ciri di atas. Okay, very good. Let's go to the next one. Okay, here we have some the same thing. That's the word sejahtera. So you understood, everyone, including the foreigners. I think you can understand the word sejahtera. Basically, literally means a kind of maslaha, what we call it, well-being. So it meant to the society as a society, not like a selfish or individual well-being. It always pronounced as meant as a social well-being. So that's the reason why society comes together all the time with the word sejahtera. Okay, now this slide, the one actually comes from Prof. Kamal Hassan, who you know that he is a Tan Sri Kamal Hassan from UIA. He used to be the rector of this university a few years back, and right now he is still here. He's one of the professor. He is also one of my lecturer. So he wrote many things on this. The way that he wrote, he wants to bring the agama, the tawheed, especially the religious perspective, Islamic perspective. Because one thing I think most of you know, I'm just talking to the foreign students here. One thing that you should know about Malay culture. Malay culture and Islam is actually inseparable. You cannot separate. For example, you have Indians, and then you have Indian Muslims. So now if you talk about India, the culture of India, you can always separate Islam and Indian culture as a differently. You can always see that. In some other countries also same thing goes. But here, you know, if the Malay, especially the Malay, because the moment they wanted to become, they became Muslims. It's not like that only one group of it didn't happen like what happened in India. In India, small group of people they became Muslim. Not everybody in India became Muslim, but here most of them, all of them actually, one shot, you know, they are here and they are all Muslims. That's the reason why there is no cultural conflict. Whatever comes with you know, Malay culture, it always goes with Islam. That's why I also many years ago I came to know, you know, if someone can speak Malay, can speak Bahasa, he also considered as a Malay. You know, they don't because if he's a but there's only one condition to become Malay. Of course, you have to speak Bahasa. At the same time, you have to be Muslim, right? If you are Muslim and then you speak Bahasa, then you are actually considered as a Malay. Even I know that for a long time here, the other races, the one who are Muslims, they also consider as a Malay. That's because they are Muslims. At the same time, they speak Bahasa. All right. This is something that you don't see in many countries, right? Is it my understanding is correct, Faris?
Yes, you're correct about it. You're right about
Okay,
it.
very good. Thank you so much. You know, you can stop me if I'm giving you some wrong perspective, because here is actually Islam is inseparable. You cannot separate Islam from the culture. That's why when it comes to the word like Sejahtera, the word Sejahtera is, of course, the application of the word Sejahtera, it always goes with agama. That's why now you can read this the Tawhidic or the Islamic definition of Sejahtera. Please go ahead. Yes, please. Keselamatan, ya.
Berapa peringatan dari perspektif agama Tauhid, keselamatan, keamanan, ketenteraman, kedamaian, keselesaan, keharmonian, kasih sayang, keadilan, kebahagiaan berkait rapat dengan kualiti hati insan, akhlak baik sesama manusia dan keeratan perhubungan kerohanian manusia, pemimpin dan negara dengan Tuhan Yang Maha Esa secara menyeluruh dan berterusan. Dalam pandangan alam Islam ini berkaitan dengan prinsip iman, ibadah, amal soleh, akhlak, takwa dan ihsan.
So if you look at that particular definition given by Prof. Kamal Hassan, Sejahtera is everything, because he doesn't want to just to mention the word well-being. He says Sejahtera is, you know, there is a protection, there is a peace, right? There is a health, there is a, you know, there is a gift, there is a justice, there is a, you know, love, mercy. And then there is also what you call it, I mean, for example, harmony, right? At the same time, there is actually respecting everyone, everything, all this. So it comes with Sejahtera is actually look like in Arabic. I think some of you are already here. So in Arabic, you can call it like there is a term called Jawami al-Kalim. You know, there is someone might know this word Jawami al-Kalim, meaning to say there is one word, but it has many meanings. In Arabic, it is called Jawami. So Sejahtera kind of that kind of Jawami. It has so many dimensions and reflections upon it. Okay, number 2.
2. Kesejahteraan yang benar-benar holistik merangkumi kepercayaan, wawasan dan amalan untuk mencapai kesejahteraan dan kebahagiaan hakiki yang kekal abadi sesudah mati. Ini berkait rapat dengan keyakinan tentang hari akhirat dan pembalasan Tuhan Maha Penyayang terhadap kelakuan dan cara hidup hamba-hambanya bukan sahaja di Malaysia tetapi di seluruh alam semesta.
Okay. See, the number 2, it goes to the next level. Because the number 2 talks about, you know, it's not only you think about the well-being in this world. It is not that you think about well-being in dunya. It is also the well-being of akhirah. So every single thing that you do, you are going to face it after you die. So it very close to the Quranic verse that I think last time I referred to you. وَابْتَغِي مَا آتَاكَ اللَّهُ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ. Make sure that whatever that Allah has given to you, make sure you try to convert it for the next life. If Allah has given you health, make sure you convert health to the next life. If Allah has given you money, make sure you convert it for the sake of next life. If Allah has given you the expert, you are genius and you have the skill, make sure that you don't abuse those skill and then you use it for the wrong things. You use it for something that people use it for the wrong things. So you use it for the good things so that you can convert in for the next life. So I think all these things comes together. This is the second number, talks about well-being not only for the dunya, it is also well-being for the akhirah. Okay. And then number 3, and then number 4, number 5. This is all actually all these things, talking about whether it is about taqwa or whether it is about berlawanan, like a concept like al-falah, or the opposite is actually khursan. Falah is actually the victory. The khursan is actually khusran. Sorry, the khusran is actually the loss. So this is all bringing this together to understand the reality. So Sejahtera is something that actually make you or keep you in the straight path. So now there is no way that you can actually take this away from Islam, right? Maybe perhaps you may want to say that why it is necessary someone has to talk about Sejahtera when we have Islamic concept like ihsan or ikhlas or maslaha. So how will you face this kind of question? Or do you have that kind of questions? So let us just at least have some feedback from you. What do you think if someone comes and say this? How will you face it? Yes.
I actually have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Tamam. You had the same question?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. I was thinking that's the reason why I was asking this. So yeah, exactly. Someone may have this question. Okay, I'm opening the floor. Someone can answer Tamam from the floor. Your answer could be right or wrong. Don't worry about it. It's just give him some answers. Tamam is asking why we have to talk about Sejahtera when there is a concept like maslaha and ihsan and ikhlas or tawheed or so many other things in Islam. Why we have to talk about Sejahtera? I expect this answer. I expect to answer from local. Someone from local can come and give
Sir,
yes.
can I give
Yes,
it a try?
Ayman. Yes, Ayman, go ahead.
I think it's because most of those words that you spoke of, like insan, they are all mostly from an Islamic perspective, whereas sejahtera is more universal, especially in the context of Malaysia, where people are multicultural. If we are to speak from an Islamic perspective, some non-Muslim may find it, like we are preaching to them. But when we talk about sejahtera, it's more universally acceptable for non-Muslim. That is my take on it.
Very good, very good. Okay, Tamam, are you convinced with this answer? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
No. You can talk to him back.
No,
Tell
no,
him.
I actually am convinced.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Okay, good. If you are convinced, no. I want you to not convince so that you can expand this conversation. It's okay. It's okay to not. It's okay to be not convinced. I mean, what I'm saying, for the sake of knowledge, it is okay. This is how debate always comes. You can ask cross questions. You can say that you said this, but for example, Ayman said it is also universal, right? So you can ask him the question, how do you say universal? Because Sejahtera is a Malay word, for example. So this kind of things. Anybody wants to ask questions to Ayman? Just for the sake of knowledge, don't worry, I'm not creating any issues here. Or maybe can I expect expect another answer from local, the one who can understand Sejahtera? The same question what Tamam said. Why we need to talk about Sejahtera when we have certain things in Islam? Can I listen from someone? Anyone? Faris, Wasila, Iman, Akil, anyone?
I think as
Yes,
a
Wasila,
Muslim,
go ahead.
yes, I think as a Muslim, we naturally have to, according to the term of the Sejahtera, to always be kind and be helpful towards each other, so that we don't any trouble with them for other people. Or is that what?
Okay, you good. So that was it. Kind of convincing answer, Tamam.
I didn't get it. I didn't really understand.
Oh, okay. Do you mind to repeat it, Wasila?
Okay, sorry. I think as a Muslim, we always have to be kind and be helpful towards each other, and to not cause discomfort or do any irresponsible acts in the society. So we always have to be to be beneficial towards others and be kind and be helpful. Yeah, that's my take on this.
Okay, Wasila, that's good. So Tamam, did you understand this time? I mean, of course, does it make sense? Of course, is that convincing you?
I mean, the words are understandable, but I don't know, like, what the concept of that. I still don't understand.
Okay. Let me try to put it in the right perspective. Yeah, don't worry. Maybe anybody else wants to give some explanation. The question is, do we need to talk about Sejahtera when there is something similar in Islam? As a Muslim, we are all can talk about ihsan, can talk about maslaha, can talk about maqasid, or can talk about Islamization. Of course, we are talking about Islamization. Is it necessary that we need to talk about Sejahtera?
Doctor, can I try?
Yes, Farhan, looking for you. Yes, go ahead.
For me, the word sejahtera is necessary. Even in Islam, we have, like you say, ihsan, tauhid, and ada terima kasih. Because sejahtera is the result when we apply those like the makasih syariah in our life kan. When we apply it in our life, so the result is sejahtera. Because the meaning of sejahtera is keselamatan, keamanan. Like our sister Najihah Khadijah read at the early class.
You mean you are talking about the end result? You are saying that everything that we learn from Islam, of course, when we practice it, the end result will be, that is what we call Sejahtera.
Yes, we can have a sejahtera life even if we live with the non-Muslim.
So similarly, what you are saying is actually like we can have the Hayatun Tayyiba, which is actually Sejahtera. Okay. That's very good, convincing answers as well. Okay, good. I think Tamam also listening to this. Very good. Any other? Look, this is what we call interactive mode. This is how we interact. See, we had a very good perspective from Wasila, and then we had from Ayman, we have from Farhan, Khatija, right? So I think this is how we need to. You see, if you remember, if you've been to the Ta'aruf, I think all of you attended the Ta'aruf, right? So what is it that triple ICE means? Anybody can tell me triple ICE? Do you remember the mission and the vision of IIUM? Anybody can tell me what is triple ICE? Okay, maybe you are quite new, that's why. It's okay, it's understandable. So triple ICE is actually the vision of this university. Triple ICE means triple first I for integration, and then Islamization, then internationalization, then comprehensive excellence. So triple ICE: integration, Islamization, internationalization, and then comprehensive excellence. So you look, if you look at the mission of the vision of the university, so towards this vision actually our university is going. So now the intercultural interactions, the debate and the dialogue is actually quite important for our university. That's the reason why we are being noticed from outside the world, because I think you are quite new here. Maybe perhaps if this year or next year, there will be Ummatic Week. We call it Ummatic Week. That's because all the countries, their culture and everything they will bring, and then they will showcase. Maybe some of you have seen the video like last year. I think it didn't happen. Maybe before last year, it is called Ummatic Week. And we used to share our culture. We come with our own dress and then we explain who we are, what are we, and what we are doing. Yes, Murad. Do you know that? Have you heard about it?
I was there.
MashaAllah, you were there. It was. Did it happen last year, Murad?
I don't think so, but
before last year.
Before last year, yeah.
Anybody know? Anybody seen Ummatic Week in our class?
No, sir, I haven't.
You were here, Wasila?
Sorry, sir?
You were here, Ummatic Week? No.
No.
Okay, because I think most of you are very new students. Maybe some of you someone who spent some time in CELPAT before last year, perhaps have seen it before. So this is one of the opportunity to learn from each other. So now, when it comes to culture, you need to understand where Islam and where is culture. Okay, now it's quite easy for any Arabs. For example, Murad is here. He's an Arab. So or somebody else from our own class. It is not that difficult to understand like the word like ihsan or maslaha or ikhlas, because the Arabic is actually your mother tongue, and then there is no difficult for you to understand it, and it becomes your routine life. But what about people like me and people like from India, people like from China, people like from Malaysia? Arabic is not our native language. We actually learn, and when we learn Arabic, which language actually helping you to learn? It's your own mother tongue. Am I right? So your mother tongue, with the help of your mother tongue, you are actually learning Arabic or learning English or learning anything, even mathematics also. Before you say, for example, 64 plus 64, before you do the calculation, you always do calculation in your own mother tongue. That's the nature of the human. You cannot do the calculation in a different language other than your mother tongue. So now look at the culture. When Islam came, when Islam revealed, when Islam came into existence among Arabs, like Sharia, the Sharia that Prophet ﷺ brought, what was the practice of the Arab that time? It actually took place in Sharia as well. You see, for example, why Arabs were allowed to marry 4? Because they were marrying hundreds and more than tens. So it was reduced. Why there was a jihad? Why there was a war? Why jihad was became obligatory? Because the Arabs were going for war for centuries. They were very busy because they are known for wars, right? So many things. For example, Hajj. Do you think Hajj initiated only after Prophet ﷺ came? No, Hajj was there. Hajj was there even, but it wasn't. It was, of course, was there, but it was not the way that we perform today. It was in different way, but it was there. Right? Do you think fasting is something that Islam brought it? Sharia, our Sharia brought it? No, fasting was there even before. So now you need to understand the culture is also an important role to understand the religion. So now when it comes to culture, that's the reason why when the word taqwa, when the word ikhlas, when the word ihsan came to Arab, they were happily, they understood, and then they started practicing it because culturally it was there. So now similarly, when it comes to other culture, Islam is not against of any good culture. Anything, any good thing that I do with my culture. For example, in my culture, I always respect my neighbor. For example, I always send something to my neighbor, which is actually good. There's nothing wrong in Islam. Islam also says the same thing, right? So for example, in my culture, I don't. For example, in some of the culture, we don't. The cousins, they don't get married. Islam is not forcing you. You should get married. In some culture, they don't do. For example, this is what happened. I don't marry my cousin sisters or my cousin, from my mother's side or from father's side. This is culturally because they become like sister and brother. This is culturally is there. But Islam is not forcing you, saying that you should get married. If your culture says okay. So similarly, my culture is good for one wife or one for one. Islam is not stopping you to go with that. So whatever the good things are there, but if there's a bad thing which is haram, which is actually prohibited in Islam, if that became the culture, then of course. So now, as I told you earlier, like that, this is the point I want to repeat. When it comes to Malay culture, Islam and Malay, it's inseparable. You cannot separate Islam from Malay. Because as you know, the entire Malay community, entirely they are the Muslims. Entirely their language and their culture, their life, everything actually became Islamized. And that's the reason why their concept of Sejahtera is already rooted in their life. It is not something, alien. For example, if there is a similar word you bring in my community, in my culture, I will think twice whether should I use the word or not. That's why I want to bring the other slide. Let me see if I can give you right now. Okay, this one. You see, the root word, look, the root word of Sejahtera possibly come from Sanskrit. Because you know that the Malay language, it's a mixture of Sanskrit and Arab and some other things. So now you can see there are so many Sanskrit words actually available in Bahasa. That's the reason why it is very at the beginning when I came to this country, it was very easy for me to understand Bahasa because my own language in India, it mostly the word comes from Sanskrit. So here also I see the same word. For example, whether you call Shorga or Naraka or Swami or Manushya, all these actually the same word back in India with the same meaning. There are so many words like that. So one of the words is actually Sasastra. We call it Sastra, or we call it Sastiram, for example. Sadhya, for example, Sadhya. Sadhya is actually truth, right? Sudotra. So these are the words. Possibly, they say, possibly this could be the root word of Sejahtera. So now, for example, if I have to use the same word like Sasastra in my own country, as a Muslim, if you ask me to use the word sasastra, which is the Sanskrit word, I will think about it because I will not use it. You know why? Because a non-Muslim in my country, a non-Muslim in my region also use the same word. So now what happened that there will be a conflict if I use the same word like my non-Muslim brother. Now the word I'm using and the word my non-Muslim brother using become same, which means that it cannot benefit the target. That's the reason why I have to differentiate, for example, the word that I use for salah. I cannot use the same word that my non-Muslim brother using it. Because if I use it, it seems like I'm doing the same thing what my non-Muslim brother is doing it. So for that reason, I have to create the word from Arabic, or I have to create my own language, of course, but I need to create from my own language a word which actually, when someone said, okay, he went for prayer, for example, when someone said he went for prayer in my own language, the person who asked will understand he went to masjid. That's how we have identified ourselves to say, because the opposite brother will not understand that this guy went to temple. So that's the reason why it is necessary for us. There must be a difference. But when it comes to Malay, the word Sejahtera is not like that. You use the word, they use the word. It is actually mostly majority Muslims are using it for the good reason. That's the reason why it's very close. And when these kind of words are very, very close, there is a possibility that, I mean, what I'm saying, you don't have to Islamize everything, because there is a culture, I understand. There is a culture of, Islamizing everything. You need to say, for example, Islamic, the way today we call Islamic banking and Islamic finance, which happened long time ago, because there were some valid reason why. That's the reason why we call Islamic finance, because finance is actually, generally finance deal with riba. So we need to differentiate it. That's the reason why we talked about Islamic finance. We talked about Islamic banking. So there is a need to mention Islamic there. But if you come and say, no, we want to make everything Islamic. So Islamic tourism, Islamic hotel, Islamic car, Islamic transportation, Islamic mobile phone, Islamic computer, Islamic dress. So what is the need of Islamizing everything? So what is the need? Because you don't have to actually Islamize everything, because as a good human being, I always use the right way of, whether tourism, whether eating, whether, schooling, whether it is a computer, whatever it is, I'm going to use the right way of doing. So I don't have to Islamize everything. So this will be wrong. The other day, in my department, we were discussing, someone come up with the idea Islamic home. We are like, someone wrote about Islamic home. What? Why this Islamic actually becoming? Why this Islamism is actually necessary to bring everything? You don't have to be. You don't have to. You have to be Islamic. You don't have to call it Islamic. This is the most important thing. Islamic is actually what? Islamic is actually what? It's not the label. It's not the exterior. It's the interior. Islam means what? Islam means you submit your will in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You submit your will. You submit completely. You surrender yourself. Allahumma labbaik. I surrender. When you say Allahu Akbar, you raise your hand, which means that everything, the entire world behind me, only I'm in front of you. That's the way I say, I left everything in the world. Right now, I'm nothing. Allahu Akbar. So that is the meaning of Islam. So now if I want to just prove that I want to be Islamic, so I want to show everything, I'm telling you, you don't even need to show like you have the kupiya, you have the proper dress to show that you are Islamic. Not necessary. Forget about me. I'm using it for identification. Why I'm wearing kupiya? Because just for identification. There is no religion in it. Kupiya is not for religion. It's mostly to hide my, especially when I pray, I don't want my my hair to be fallen. That is the reason why they use the amama. You know amama, right? They bind on it. Amama, they do that because the Arabs used to have a long hair. They didn't want the hair to go down, so they use that. Even this, if you have the beard, good, because if it comes, what if it doesn't come? What to do? For some community, it won't come. It's okay. Alhamdulillah, it's okay. If it comes, okay, you can have it. It is a sunnah. There is no doubt. It is a sunnah. Also, at the same time, it was also the culture of the Arabs. Make sure that. Remember all the time. Having beard is actually the culture of the Arabs to show the masculine. Then Prophet ﷺ followed it. And when he followed it, he said, there are certain things you don't do because mushrikeens are doing. One of them is, knotting, knot, making the knot within, I don't know whether you remember or not. Yes, Murad, it looks like you want to go somewhere. Okay, go ahead, no problem. Yes, please, you can go, no problem. So knotting, knitting or knotting, what they call it. And then they used to hide something within their beard. Prophet ﷺ said, don't do that kind of things, because these are the mushrikeens are do. You don't be like them. Also, mushrikeens, they used to have the mustache, big mustache with beard. So Prophet said, reduce your mustache. You can leave your beard, but reduce your mustache. Why? When you reduce your mustache, you look different, and you could be called as a Muslim, because the non-Muslims, they have the long one. So you see, Prophet ﷺ follow the culture, just modify the culture, just regulate the culture. He said, okay, you be like this. So that's what I'm saying. If your culture is teaching you the good thing, you should take it. That is the real Islam. You don't have to Islamize your culture. All right. So that is the most important lesson that I wanted to give it to you today. And that happened because of the word Sejahtera. So don't ever lose your culture. Your culture is behind you. It is good. Sometimes, the word haya, it's very difficult to understand the word haya. I'm telling you. Some culturally speaking, Prophet said, al-haya min al-iman. So now, this haya is actually shy, becoming shy. The shyness is actually something that only culture can teach you. If you are living in an open culture, for example, like Western countries, they can do anything they want in the open road, because culturally speaking, no one will stop you. The culture will said MYOB, mind your own business. So that kind of culture is a dangerous culture. If you are living in a culture where they see you doing something wrong, and then they hate you, they show that they don't like it, that is a good culture. As long as you are living in a culture where actually the surroundings actually stopping you to do something bad, that is where the culture, for example, stealing is actually wrong, in which culture there is a murder is wrong, in which culture this kind of adultery or coupling or dating, this kind of things is wrong, that is the good culture. That is actually what Islam wants. Okay then. So I think pretty much you understood what is Sejahtera right now, and I just want you to bring that idea and actually bring it to For example, this one, what Tansri wrote a long time ago, he said, decolonizing the paradigm of sustainability, sustainable development through the traditional concept of Sejahtera. So now, of course, Islam is there because we accept, as we are all Muslims, we're born as a Muslims, and Islamic teachings and everything in there. But when it comes to community, the community speaks Malay. They don't speak Arab. The community don't speak Arabic. They speak Malay. That's why Sejahtera is everywhere, because they speak. So through the concept of Sejahtera, you can bring this sustainable development. Okay, please read, go through this. This is also the meaning is available. It was there in the concept in the Malay archipelago. Indigenous. This is actually indigenous concept. This is called balanced well-being, prosperity, peace, tranquility, coexisting with common shared values and prosperity. These are the meanings that I told you earlier. All this meaning could go with Sejahtera, to be set right, to be perfected, to be accomplished, to be mastered, to be a thing to be proved, to attainable, perfection, celestial, granting gift, or containing praises. Okay. Also remember, Sejahtera is not the only word available only in Malay community. The same meaning, the same concept available in each and every community. That's it. It's not the something that if you are living in Japan, you don't have to follow Sejahtera in Japan, because Japan, they have their own word for Sejahtera. It's called ikigai. In Swedish, they have lagom. In Norway, in Danish, in Denmark, they have higgi. So these are the words similar to what we call Sejahtera, because every community have it. Because you see, when community comes, community as a whole will never, do something bad. As a whole, cannot, because this is also Prophet ﷺ said. He said that la yajma ummati ala khata'in. This is what hadith says. Prophet ﷺ said, my ummah will not gather. Everyone will not gather on falsehood. Which means that not the entire, maybe some of them may do the mistakes, may be in the mistake, but the entire ummah cannot do something which is actually considered as a mistake or false. All right. So these are the other words for balance. These are the words kizuna, lagom, nunshi, yin-yang, ubuntu. Ubuntu, I think we heard the name already. We have silatu rahim, of course. So these are the other words if you want to, if you want to get this balance, right? These are the books and the essays already started. We have started having it. Today, even we talk a lot about Sejahtera, because we have this thing called SAF. We call it Sejahtera Academic Framework. We want to bring this well-being Sejahtera concept in your studies. And the websites, there is a talk given by Tansri long time ago. Let's see if I have the link I can play. And this is our one of the posters available in Kulliyyah Education. You can see that the word Sejahtera is there. Kesejahteraan diri, right? Standards, harmony, emotional, spiritual, physical, balance, everything is there. These are the spices. You can call it as a society should focus on reducing the ecological footprint, right? You have economy, ecology, societal, and then you have the other side, you have a cultural, ethical, emotional. You can see all this together is also the concept of Sejahtera. The confluence of the macrocosm and microcosm provides unique opportunities for balance and fulfillment. So this is all, talking about Sejahtera. In Quran, of course, and Prophet ﷺ also talks about, they also talk about balance, exactly like what Sejahtera we mean, and seek by means of what Allah has given you the future adopt. This is what I said, وَابْتَغِي مَا آتَاكَ اللَّهُ دَارَ الْآخِرَةِ. Prophet ﷺ said, if the final day comes upon you while you were planting a seed, then continue on planting it. This is an hadith. This is the balanced way, or you can call it wasatiyya in Arabic. Yeah. You see, Allah has created us. Even in fact, Allah called us this ummah, the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, the ummah, the one who ever born after the birth of, after the prophethood of Prophet ﷺ. They are called ummah Muhammadiyya. So this ummah, Allah called them ummatan wasatan litakunu shuhada'a 'alan nas wa yakunu rasulu 'alaykum shahida. So this is the most important, wasatiyya, the moderate community. We are the moderate community, which means that we are the community who are going to witness the entire community who came earlier. And Allah will ask, how do you know about them? We will tell, yes, because Quran is there. And you sent your Rasul, and he is the one who said. And then later Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam will come, and he will witness for all of us. That's why we are called ummatan wasata. Okay. So now you just need to answer, can Sejahtera become a concept of living for sustainable development? So there's a ABC. So please go ahead and just give your answers. Okay, thank you. I think most of you, I think all of you answer yes. Okay, you can also answer, if you don't understand, for example, C. If you think you don't understand Sejahtera, please, you can answer C, then inshallah later I can explain to you. Thank you for your answers. And yes, this is how there is a spices that I told you earlier. There are 10 elements of spices, and those 10 elements you can see here. You see there is a Sejahtera spices in middle, and then surrounded by intellectual, psychological, cognitive. Then it is framed by 4 things, which is ecology, economy, cultural, society. You have budaya, cultural, masyarakat, society. Then it is also surrounded by spiritual, emotional, ethical, which is actually called ruhani, emosi, jismani, right? So all these things are here. It's all surrounded. Okay, and then of course this is something called from ego to eco. Because you see why a human is actually exploiting the resources is because of the ego. Because human become greedy. When a human become greedy and he thinks that he can do anything he wants, when he doesn't need to follow any any rules or laws. If you say that law is not above the human, if you agree law is not above the human, then human will exploit, he will waste, he will do everything, because that is the ego. The ego will spoil everything. That's what happened earlier. Why there was a World War I, why there was a World War II, why there was a nuclear bombs. Why? Do you think it is something externally came in and then started happening? No, it's because of one man ego. A man is actually reason why he has to destroy other man. That's why from ego we need to go to eco. Eco is actually ecology. Yeah. Okay, then if you understood what exactly the concept of Sejahtera, then will be easy to understand as what Sejahtera meant as the local implementation of sustainable development. So these are the local implement, is already on the go, is already running. And again, from our university, we also, of course, we are at the same time, we are the international university. But we need to understand that we are here and our community is very important. You see, how many years we've been in this land? More than 30 years. How much we worried about people in Kampong Pusu? Anybody know Kampong Pusu? Okay, you're all new here. The Kampong Pusu is actually just a nearby community, the living just beside the female mahalla. If you know the female mahalla, just beside, the next to it, there is a community living. How many of us went and talked to them and asked about their well-being? So what is the point of, this is what our Tansri, our rector, since 2018, he started asking this question again and again and again until day before yesterday, we had a meeting. He was asking the same thing. Being an international university, how much we brought changes to the local community? How much? We are international. Does it mean that we only help Saudi, Qatar, or China, or India? What about the local community? What about our neighbors? Without taking care of our neighbors, how we are going to talk about the international agendas? So that's why the word Sejahtera is very much into something that actually is helping the local. So there are so many things are going on, Clinic Sejahtera, like you can see here. And also there are so many talks going on. Sejahtera dalam kecak mata Islam. Then you have the Sejahtera sebagai model what is it? Pembangunan. Yeah, Pembangunan means building, right? Pembangunan, building social model. Am I right? If I'm not mistaken. So you have these. So many talks are going on. Until now is happening. We also, that's the reason why actually we wanted to bring this topic into the UNGS 1201. Because we wanted to, in fact, if you look at the course coordinator, the coordinator for this course, there is one coordinator. He actually works under the unit called Sejahtera Development. So this course offered to you from the center of Sejahtera Development. Okay. It is already there. If you are in campus, you will see there are many offices there. So these are the other talks. We brought someone from outside, all right, to talk about it. We also wrote many things, role of Sejahtera in eliminating poverty, right? Because you cannot you cannot approach your local people with a foreign concept. You cannot do that. It is not possible. If you want to approach your own community, you need to approach the way they understand. You need to talk to them in the language that they are understanding, in the lifestyle that they are understanding, in the society that they are. I cannot simply bring alien topics and then go and talk to them. That's the reason why Sejahtera also can help eliminating the poverty. All right. Then you have all this. If you look into 2030 Wawasan, the what they call it, the vision 2030. All these things, it comes with this Sejahtera. And in fact, our own universities, this is our university's roadmap. You can see that Maqasid Sharia is there, also Sejahtera also is there. So we need to go, at the same time, we are a Muslim. Of course, I'm a Muslim, but I'm not only a Muslim. I have to identify who am I. Myself, I always call myself, I'm calling myself Indian Muslim. So now, if you want to call yourself Malaysian Muslim, of course, we agree. I am a Muslim, you are a Muslim. At the same time, how do I identify myself? Because you see, when Allah said, Inna khalaqnakum min zakarin wa untha, Allah said, we created you from a man and women. And then Allah said this, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. Allah said, we created you we made into tribes, into nations and the tribes. First nation comes, shu'ub, and then the tribes, qabail. So now everyone, we have that our own tribes, our own. This is where we need to identify ourselves. I cannot simply say that I'm just a Muslim. I don't want to I don't want to expose my background. I cannot do that. It's not because if I don't tell who am I, if I don't tell where my parents coming from, then I'm being, I'm being dishonest to my origin. I cannot do that. I cannot do that. It's not something, it is not actually justice to hide my to hide my origin. I have to be proud of my origin, where I don't have to make myself, it doesn't matter. I have to mention that I'm a Muslim, I came from this country. I'm a Muslim, I came from this what do you call it, this community, this region. This is how, because I need to go back, even though right now I'm not with them, but one day I have to go back. If I don't go back now, maybe probably my children may go back to them and then talk to them in their own language and understand their feelings. That's very important in Islam, to take care of the community. You cannot take care, you cannot expect somebody will come and take care of your community. You are responsible for your community. If you had a knowledge, if you had a wealth, if you had expert, you need to share with your own community first before you go to the other community. This is where we have the problem, because we don't want to do anything to our community, because you see what we say, oh, my community, they are worthless. My community, they won't listen. My community are like this. My community, this is all the time. This is how we do. This is how we blame our community, which is actually prohibited, which is actually not the right thing to do in Islam. In Islam, you need to take, because your community, first of all, they are your relations. Your community are your silatul rahim. The way I respect other communities, for example, an American comes, I go to America and I started respecting Americans, but I'm not actually respecting my own community, which means that I'm not respecting my own family. So we need to identify ourselves, our language, our mother tongue, anything. You can speak Bahasa, you can speak Bengali, you can speak Sikh, or you can speak Tamil, or you can speak Telugu or Malayalam, or any other languages. You have to respect it and you have to be proud of it, who you are. This is where actually individually we have to be proud of it, and then when it comes to Islam, we are all together in this. That's why identify the individuality and then work together. This is what the concept of the entire university. That's why we have in university we have the Makashariya, we also have the Sejahtera, and we also have the Falsafa Pendidikan Kebangsaan, 5 wisdom of FPK we call it. Okay, so I think that's all I have. So I think I stop here.